Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. A very warm welcome to this Monday, 4th December 2023 morning Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam discussion. Today we are reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 1, Text 14. Before we discuss on this verse, let's sing Jai Radha Madhava. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Shri Radhe, Jai Nitai Sachinandana Gaura Hari, Nitai Sachinandana Gaura Hari, Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Hari Bol Hari Bol, Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य श्रोत्र शतश्री श्रीमती डिवाइन ग्रेस श्रील श्री भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय, प्रेम से कहूँ श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय, श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय, वृंदावन धाम की जय, मथुरा धाम की जय, जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय, गंगा माई की जय, यमुना माई की जय, तुलसी देवी की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, सामवेद भक्त वृंद की जय. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine. Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Paschyadya Deshatarine. Sarvam Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Krishne Matirastu. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today we're reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 1, Text 14. Iti ūcivāṁs tatra suyodhanena pravṛddha-kopa-sphuritādhareṇa asat-kṛtaḥ sat-spṛhaṇīya-śīlaḥ kṣattā sakarṇānuja-saubalena iti ūcivāṁs tatra suyodhanena pravṛddha-kopa-sphuritādhareṇa asat-kṛtaḥ sat-spṛhaṇīya-śīlaḥ kṣattā sakarṇānuja-saubalena iti ūcivāṁs tatra suyodhanena pravṛddha-kopa-sphuritādhareṇa asat-kṛtaḥ sat-spṛhaṇīya-śīlaḥ kṣattā sakarṇānuja-saubalena. Synonyms, word by word. Iti, thus, ūcivāṁ, while speaking, tatra, there, suyodhanena, by Duryodhana, pravṛddha, swollen with, kopa, anger, spurita, flapping, adhareṇa, lips, asat-kṛtaḥ, insulted, sat, respectable, sprehaṇīya-śīlaḥ, desirable qualities, kṣattā, Vidura, sa, with, Karṇa, Karna, Anuja, younger brothers, Saubalena, with Śakuni. Translation. While speaking thus, Vidura, whose personal character was esteemed by respectable persons, was insulted by Duryodhana, who was swollen with anger and whose lips were trembling. Duryodhana was in company with Karna, his younger brothers, and his maternal uncle Śakuni. Purport by His Divine Grace Śrīla Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. It is said that giving good counsel to a foolish person causes the fool to become angry, just as feeding milk to a snake only increases its venomous poison. Saint Vidura was so honorable that his character was looked up to by all respectable persons. But Duryodhana was so foolish that he dared to insult Vidura. This was due to his bad association with Śakuni, his maternal uncle, as well as with his friend Karna, who always encouraged Duryodhana in his nefarious acts. So before we discuss on this verse, let us offer some prayers. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Namashreshtam Manamapi Shachiputram Matra Swarupam Rupam Tasyagrajam Murupurim Maturim Goshtavatim Radha Kundam Girivaram Maho Radhika Madhavasam Prapto Yasya Pratita Kripaya Shri Gurum Tam Natosmi Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Adadandastranam Dante Idam Yachah Punah Punah Shriman Rupa Padambhojam Dhulisyam Janma Janmani He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. The reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 1, Text 14. Iti ūcivāṁs tatra suyodhanena pravṛddha-kopa-sphuritādhareṇa asat-kṛtaḥ sat-spṛhaṇīya-śīlaḥ kṣattā sakarṇānuja-saubalena. While speaking thus, Vidura, whose personal character was esteemed by respectable persons, was insulted by Duryodhana, who was swollen with anger and whose lips were trembling. Duryodhana was in company with Karṇa, his younger brothers, and his maternal uncle Śakuni. So this particular verse, we are seeing the reaction of Duryodhana towards Mahatma Vidur. And this is based on Mahatma Vidur giving the instructions to Duryodhana. What we have to understand here is how Vidur was born in terms of being the son of the maidservant. Even though he is considered as an incarnation of Yamraj. So there is a story behind Vidura's birth as the son of maidservant. We can try and understand this story, and this also will give us the context of what Duryodhana was saying to Vidura in terms of him being born as the son of maidservant, even though Vidura was like his uncle, very respectable elder. But this is the unfortunate arrogance of Duryodhana, that he did not give respect to his elders like Vidura on the context of him being born as a son of maidservant. So this is unfortunate situation of an arrogant person like Duryodhana. So let us try and understand what caused Yamraj to be born as Vidura in the incarnation of Vidura. So this goes to the story of Manduka Muni, who as a child did an activity which resulted in being punished. So it is said that Manduka Muni was in his childhood, without knowing much in that sense, playing with an insect, and he put a needle-like thing within the insect. And he caused suffering to that insect. And when Manduka Muni grows up, he is charged of stealing, even though he did not. And one of the punishment that he gets is that the rod has to go within him, and he has to get pierced. And with that, when he goes back to the Yamaloka, after giving up the body like that, he goes to Yamaloka, and he asks Yamraj that why he was unjustly killed that way, in a torturous way. And then Yamraj mentions that in his childhood, he actually did this activity because of which his death was in a tormenting way, and he had such a difficult circumstance. So then Manduka Muni curses Yamraj. And this is a power of the Munis, that because they are really doing lots of penances, they get lots of power. And with that power, they can either use it to give someone a boon, or they can use it to give someone a curse, if they think that the other person has not done the right thing. So here, Manduka Muni, with the power of penance that he has, he curses Yamaraj to be born as the son of a maidservant. And this is how Mahatma Vidur is an incarnation of Yamaraj. And we see that we have discussed this before when we were discussing about Yudhishthira Maharaj as well, because Yudhishthira Maharaj is the son of Yamaraj. As Kunti Devi gets the boon from Durvasa Muni to call any demigod and get a son from them. So we see that she actually practices that on sun god. Initially, when she gets that boon from Durvasa Muni, she practices that on sun god. She calls the sun god, and then the sun god comes, and then sun god has to give her the son. And then that son is who is known as Karṇa. So here Karṇa is also mentioned. So we see here the power of the Munis. Durvasa Muni's power, he gave the boon to Kunti Devi for her service to him. And then we see Manduka Muni's power, where he was not satisfied with Yamaraja, and he actually cursed the Yamaraja. So here, but what we have to understand is Yamaraja is one of the 12 Mahajans. The Mahajans are pure devotees of Krishna who are always engaged in serving Krishna. So we have discussed this before. The 12 Mahajans: Swayambhu, Narada, Shambhu, Kumara, Kapilo, Manu, Prahlado, Janako, Bhishmo, Balir, Vaiyasakir, Vayam. So Vayam is the Yamaraj. Yamaraj was saying that verse, and he was talking about himself and the 11 Mahajans. So starting with Brahma, Swayambhu, then Narada Muni, Shambhu, Lord Shiva, Kumara, the 4 Kumaras, Sanaka, Sanātana, Sanananda, and Sanat. They are the Chatush Kumaras, they're called. The 4 Kumaras are considered as one in a sense, because they are all always together. They always move together, and they always do their activities together. So they are the 4 Kumaras are considered as one. Swayambhu, Narada, Shambhu, Kumara, Kapila, Lord Kapiladev, Manu, the first progenitor, Kumara, Kapila, Manu, Prahlad, the great devotee Prahlad, Janaka, father of Sita Devi, Bhishma. We know Bhishma in Mahabharata was an amazing devotee of Krishna. Prahlada, Janaka, Bhishma, Bali, Lord Bali, Vaiyasaki, who is Shukadeva Goswami, son of Vyasadeva, and then Yamaraj. So here we see here how Vidura was born as the son of maidservant, and he was like we see that it was Vyasadeva who was the father of Vidura. So in that sense, Vidura is like a brother of Shukadeva Goswami as well, in a way. So this is the wonderful nature of engaging in loving devotional service to Krishna, that even though Yamaraja was born as Vidura, he was always remembering Krishna. This is the wonderful nature of being a devotee of Krishna. So Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. So even though Vidura was born as the son of maidservant, even though he was Yamaraja, but his love for Krishna was always there in his heart. Nitya siddha Krishna prema sadhya kabo noy. Shravanadi shuddha chitte karoy uday. As it is mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita, the love for Krishna is there in the heart of all the living entities, because the Lord himself is there in the heart of all the living entities. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishta mattah smritir jnanam apohanam cha. So Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita that I am in the heart of all the living entities, and from me comes smriti, jnanam, and apohanam, remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. That comes from Krishna. So if someone wants to remember Krishna, one can remember Krishna in any condition. Apratihata. It cannot be checked under any circumstances. and it does not have any costs, ahaituki. So that is the real love for Krishna. It does not depend on circumstance, and it cannot be checked under any circumstances. And it does not have any costs. It is costless, ahaituki. Why is it costless? Because one loves Krishna for the sake of loving Krishna. There is nothing else. We see in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna mentions about 4 kinds of people who come to him. Chaturvidha bhajante mam jana sukritino Arjuna. Krishna mentions that 4 kinds of people who are engaged in pious activities engage in my devotional service. Krishna mentions that. Chaturvidha bhajante mam jana sukritino Arjuna. And who are those 4 categories of people? Artha, one who is distressed. Jignasu, one is inquisitive. Artho, Jignasu, Artharthi, one who wants wealth. And Jnani, one who is in knowledge. And so Artha and Artharthi, the first and third category, are the people who have a cause to render loving devotional service to Krishna. The cause is that I am distressed. I am distressed, so I will go and ask the Lord to remove my distress. So that is a cause. There is a cause for going to the Lord. Again, Artharthi, one who wants financial wealth. So that person, again, they're going to the Lord and asking, "Oh Lord, please give me more money." So these are the 2 categories, the first and third category. The second and fourth category, Jignasu and Jnani. Jignasu is a person who is inquisitive. And inquisitiveness is a cause. There is a cause because one is inquisitive to know. But that cause is, as we know, is not based on getting something gross or satisfying or making oneself externally happy. Inquisitiveness is based on going to the root cause of what is it that is causing me to suffer. That jignasur api yogasya shabda brahmati vartate. Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita that a real inquisitive person transcends nistraigunya bhavarjuna nirdando nitya sattvasto niryoga kshema atmavan traigunya vishaya veda nistraigunya bhavarjuna. Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita that the Vedas are talking about the 3 gunas, the mode of goodness, the mode of passion, and the mode of ignorance. Traigunya vishaya veda, nistraigunya bhavarjuna. So Krishna says to Arjuna that you transcend the 3 modes of material nature, O Arjuna. So that is what is transcendental platform. The transcendental platform is a platform where one can directly see Krishna. Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena santa sadaiva hrideshu vilokayanti. As it is mentioned in Brahma Samhita, that when one's eyes is anointed with love for Krishna, one can always see Krishna in the heart, everywhere. Yumam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mai pashyati tasya hamna pranashyami sacha mena pranashyati. As Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, one sees me everywhere and in everything. I don't forget such a person, and such a person does not forget me. Sadhavo hridayam mahyam sadhunam hridayam tvaham madanya tena janati naham tebhyo managapi. Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita that I am in the heart of the sadhus, the saintly devotees. And the saintly devotees are in my heart. They do not know anything other than me. I do not know anything other than them. This is that ananyas chintayanto mam. Ananya cheta satatam yo mam smarati nityasha. As Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, ananya cheta. So the example that is given is that of, if we take out honey from a bottle, and if you want to put it in a vessel or a spoon, when we take on the honey, the honey flows. The flow of the honey is like you cannot see a break in that flow. It will be constant flow. And generally in science, they talk about the viscosity of the liquid. It's more viscous, and that's why there is that constancy of flow. So it is like that love for Krishna, there is ananya, there is no break, constantly that link is there, whether one realizes or one does not realize. And this is the wonderful nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that one might, unfortunately, in an external state, one might be uh, like a demon, unfortunately, because of the conditioned state of existence. But internally, they are as closely related to Krishna as a pure devotee who is totally surrendered onto Krishna. So this is why Krishna says, Samoham sarva bhuteshu name dveshyosti na priya. Ye bhajanti tu me bhaktya maite teshu chapiham. Krishna mentions that I am equal to all the living entities. I am neither averse to anyone nor am close to anyone. Name dveshyosti na priya. But ye bhajanti tu me bhaktya maite teshu chapiham. Whatever way one is coming to me with an attitude, whatever attitude one comes to the Lord reciprocates accordingly. So it is a pure reciprocation of the Lord, which is totally at a transcendental level. We can understand a little bit of that reciprocity in our relationships in this material world, where if we are antagonistic to someone, or if we are in an inimical state of mind with someone, naturally we will see that we also will get that back. Yeah, the reciprocity happens in the material world as well. But the reciprocity of the devotee and the Lord is transcendental. What does it mean by transcendental? It means that it is not existing under the influence of the modes of material nature. So when one is under the influence of modes of material nature, one cannot know Krishna. One cannot know anything related to Krishna in the modes when one is. So therefore, sagunan samatityetan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So when one is mam chayo avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate. Avyabhichareni bhakti, ananya bhakti, ananya cheta satatam yo mam smarati nityasha. As Krishna mentions, constantly when one is remembering the Lord through the mind, satatam, constantly, nityasha, again constantly, tasyaham sulabha partha. Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita that I am easily available to such a person, O Partha, O son of Pritha, O son of Kunti Devi. Why? Because nitya yuktasya yogina. Because one is constantly endeavoring to connect to me, I am easily available to such a person. So it is based on our endeavor and the Lord's costless mercy. The Lord's costless mercy is available to everyone at every moment. There is no dearth of the mercy of Lord. The dearth, unfortunately, is in the conditioned state of existence that the living entities are in. And the living entities, that's why it is called Anadi Bahirmukha Jeev, Krishna Bhuli Gela. It is mentioned in the scriptures that since time immemorial, the living entity is Bahirmukha, facing away from Krishna. Krishna is constantly looking at the living entity, but the living entity is facing away from the Lord. Bahirmukha. So what one has to do is antarmukha. Antarmukha is to face the Lord. When one faces the Lord, then one knows that the Lord was always costlessly, mercifully waiting for the living entity to look towards him. This is the infinite mercy of the Lord, infinite costless mercy. There is no end. Just like the living entity has no beginning and no end. As Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, na jayate mriyate va kadachit nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuya ajaha nityam shashvatoyam purano. Living entity is unborn. Living entity is eternally existing. Shashvatoyam, living entity is the oldest Purano. Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. When the body gets destroyed, the actual person does not get destroyed. So this is our original constitutional position as an eternal part and parcel of Krishna. Mama eva amsha jiva loke jiva bhuta sanātana. So we are eternally part and parcel of Krishna. Eternally part. That means we are never disconnected from Krishna. Never. The disconnection is, in a way, the projection of the illusion in which we exist. It is when we associate ourselves with the external body and mind and intelligence and false ego, immediately we are in a state of ignorance. And in that state of ignorance, we think that we are separate from Krishna. But actually, there is never a point in time when the living entities are separate from Krishna. They are always eternally in relationship with the Lord. And this is an amazing aspect of spiritual journey. When one starts this spiritual journey and one progresses, like we talk about the progression in terms of adav shraddha. First there is faith, then sadhu sangha, then bhajana kriya. There is with faith comes the association of devotees. With the association of devotees comes this engagement in loving devotion service of Krishna, which is the 9 kinds of devotional service: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnum, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. So one is engaged in that bhajana kriya of hearing, chanting, remembering, and offering flowers, offering prayers, serving the Lord. Hrishikena Hrishikesha Sevanam, engaging the senses in the service of the master of the senses. So this is happening. Anartha Nivritti. Then the 4th thing that happens is, this is the spiritual journey that one takes. It starts with faith. Shraddhavan lapate jnanam tatparat samyate indriya. So this control of senses is coming because one understands that there is a higher happiness. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehina rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. When one understands that there is a happiness which is sukham atyantikam yattad buddhigrahyam atindriyam. There is this happiness which is very subtle. It is not gross, because the happiness that one gets from sense enjoyment is very gross. It is senses coming in touch with the sense objects. So that is Vishaya Vinivartante. So Vishyan Indra Gochara. So the Indriyas is the senses. Senses are always going towards Gochara, towards Vishaya. Vishaya is the objects for the senses to enjoy. And that is the gross enjoyment. The subtle enjoyment is the mind creating those subtle enjoyments. And then, but that is also again a subtle enjoyment. But there is something that transcends the gross and subtle enjoyments. That enjoyment is in relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that is the real bliss, the real, as it is called, the Satchidananda Vigraha. Krishna is the Satchidananda Vigraha. What does it mean? Sat means he's existing eternally. It's not like the body which comes into a being and then dehi nosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yavanam jara tatha dehantaram prapti dhiras tatra muhyati. As Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, because there is a proprietor of the body, dehi, asmin dehe, within the body, there is kaumaram yavanam jara, there is childhood, youth, and old age, tatha dehantaram prapti. So Krishna says that similarly one has to give up the old body. Dhiras tatra muhyati. A sober person does not get bewildered by these changes. So this is the state of existence where one understands that one is eternally existing. One is not dependent on the existence of the body. And then there is no fear of death in that state of mind, because one knows that the body is like a cloth. It has to be given up, and then new cloth will be worn later when the old cloth is torn or is out of shape. A new cloth has to be put on. So this is the wonderful understanding of actual state of asatoma sadgamaya. Tamasoma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritam gamaya. This is the Vedic Vakyas that is mentioned in the Vedas about our original spiritual nature. So this prayer is saying that please lead me from this temporary to a permanent understanding of my existence. That is asatoma sadgamaya, tamasoma jyotirgamaya, from darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge. Mrityorma amritam gamaya, from death to immortality. So our original nature is immortality. It is not death. Somehow or other, we identify ourselves with the body, and then we think that we died. But actually, it is the body that died. The actual living entity, na jayate murete va kadachit. At any point in time, it does not die, nor does it come into existence. The living entity is eternally existing. And when we come back to this verse, iti ūcivāṁs tatra suyodhanena. So, thus, while speaking there by Duryodhana, pravṛddha-kopa-sphuritādhareṇa, swollen with anger and flapping lips. So this was the state of Duryodhana. So we have seen in the previous verse that Vidura was saying that he was giving good instructions to Duryodhana that he should live amicably with his cousins. But there was always this state of unfortunate jealousy and arrogance within the Kauravas, led by Duryodhana and supported, unfortunately, by Dhritarashtra. So who unfortunately was materially blind, but more significantly was spiritually blind as well. We see this in Srila Prabhupada's purport when he talks about the dharma kshetre kurukshetre samaveta yuyutsava. Mamaka pandavascheva kim akurvata Sanjaya. The first verse of Bhagavad Gita, Dhritarashtra is asking to Sanjaya what is happening in the Kurukshetra, which is a dharma kshetra. Dharma comes from the root word dhr. Dhr means that one is engaging in one's original constitutional position. So that is dharma. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. So the dharma is execution of the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is dharma. So Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, man mana bhava mad bhakta madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi yuktvaivam atmanam mat parayana. So Krishna says that give your mind to me, become my devotee. Madhyaji mam namaskuru, offer your prayers to me, offer your obeisances to me. Mame vaishyasi yuktvaivam atmanam mat parayana. Once you are totally absorbed in me, you will come back to me. That is the goal of human form of life. Somehow or other, fix the mind on Krishna. Yena tena prakarena manah krishne niveshayet. Sarve vidhi nishedasyo retayo reva kinkara. So it is mentioned in the scriptures that the goal is that some way or the other fix the mind on Krishna. All the other rules and regulations are subservient to this main rule. What is the main rule? Some way or the other fix the mind on Krishna. And when the mind is fixed on Krishna, mayeva mana adhastva mayi buddhim niveshaya nivasishyasi mayeva ata urdhvam na samshaya. Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, keep your mind on me, keep your intelligence on me. When your mind and intelligence are thus established on me, you will come back to me. Nivasishyasi mayeva ata urdhvam na samshaya. Urdhvam gachanti satvastha madhye tishtanti rajasa jaganya guni vrittistha adho gachanti tamasa. So then the different modes of material nature, if one is in the mode of goodness, and mode of goodness is the platform for reaching the purified mode of goodness. Sattvam vishuddham vasudeva shabditam yadiyate tatra pumana pavrita sattve cha tasmin bhagwan vasudeve hi adokshojo me namasa vidhiyate. So this is mentioned by Lord Shankar Shiva, Lord Shiva mentions about the Vishuddha Sattva, purified mode of goodness. So that is Vasudeva Sattvam. So that is that purified mode of goodness is that mode where one transcends the modes of material nature, the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. That is why Krishna says, Nistraygunya Bhava Arjuna. O Arjuna, you transcend the three modes of material nature. Nirdvandvo, become free from the dualities of material nature. Nitya Sattvastho, become established in yourself. Nir-yoga-kṣema. So yoga-kṣema is one is doing some activity with an expectation of result. So one is doing something and saying that if I get this result, then I'll be happy with my activity. If I don't get this result, then I won't be happy with my activity. But that is this conditional relationship with the Lord. The real transcendental loving relationship with Krishna is, oh Krishna, I'm doing this activity and I'm offering at your lotus feet. If it has to be successful, let it be successful. If it has to fail, let it fail. Either way, this is an offering at your lotus feet. So this, when one acts with this intention, with this frame of mind, then one goes into that state of akarma. Akarma is that state where one is, even though karmanyabhi pravṛddha-kopa naiva kinchit karoti sa. So there is Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita that when tyaktva karma phalasanga nitya tripto nirashraya. So Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita that when one is disassociated with the results of their action, tyaktva karma phalasanga nitya tripto, always satisfied, nirashraya, not dependent on anything. Such a person who is not bothered about the results, tyaktva karma phalasanga nitya tripto, always satisfied, nirashraya, not dependent on anyone, karmanyabhi pravṛddha-kopa naiva kinchit karoti sa. Such a person might be doing lots and lots of activities, but that person is not doing anything. This is the wonderful nature of hatvapi saiman loka na hanti na nibadhyate. Yasya nahankrito bhavo buddhir yasya na lipate. So the main thing that has to be given up is this sense of false ego, thinking that I am doing the things. Ahankara vimudhatma kartāhamiti manyate. Prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha. Yah pashyati tathatmanam akartaram sa pashyati. So the real us, the real dehi, the proprietor of the body, the only activity done by the dehi is, the proprietor of the body or the actual living entity is to love the Lord. That is the only activity that living entity does. And that loving the Lord is a natural affection that all the living entities have. Everything else that is done on an external level, from the bodily frame, from the mental frame, from the frame of material intelligence, everything is manorathena asato dhavato bahi. It is like riding on a chariot of the mind in something that is totally temporary. Therefore, it is mentioned in that beautiful verse in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana sarver gunair tatra samasate sura. It is mentioned that when one has got that unflinching, loving devotional service to Krishna, akinchana, yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati, towards Krishna, sarver gunair tatra samasate sura. Such a person, all the good qualities can be seen in such a person. And such a person is like a demigod. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana sarver gunair tatra samasate sura harav abhaktasya kuto mahad gunat. But one who is not a devotee of Krishna, of the Lord, unfortunately, what good qualities can such a person have? Why? Because manorathena asato dhavato bahi. Because even though externally one might be actually be engaged in lots and lots of pious activities, but if one is doing those activities with the frame of mind that I am this body, I am this doer, then unfortunately one is not able to come out of this cycle of birth and death. And that is the greatest unfortunate situation of the living entities. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. Punarapi janani jathare shayana. So as Srila Shankaracharya mentions in Bhaja-Govindam, he says that again taking birth, again dying. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. Punarapi janani jathare shayana. Again going into the womb of different types of mothers. Iha samsare bahudustare, kripaya pare pahi murare. So Sri Shankaracharya is praying that this cycle, insurmountable, seemingly unsurmountable cycle of ocean of birth and death seems to be that, oh Lord, I cannot cross over this. Therefore, oh Lord, please give your costless mercy. Kripaya pare, pahi murare. And help us to cross this ocean of birth and death. Samsara. Murare. O enemy of demon Mura. So this is this wonderful state where Sri Shankaracharya says, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudamate, Samprapte Sannihite Kale, Nahi Nahi Rakshati Dukran Karane. Beautiful shloka by Shankaracharya ji. He's saying that worship Govinda, worship Govinda, worship Govinda. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudamate. O foolish person. So this foolishness is because of the existence in the conditional state of existence, where one thinks that the body is very significant, the mind is very significant, the intelligence is very significant. And because attaching so much significance to body, mind, intelligence, and then the false ego by that relationship, one unfortunately does not understand one's eternal nature. So therefore, when one is, that is why Krishna says, Mam chayo avya bicharena bhakti yogena sevate. So when one is constantly trying to engage in loving devotional service of Krishna, sa gunan samatityetan. Krishna helps that person to transcend the modes of material nature. Brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So Brahma bhuya, that is this understanding of my eternal nature. Then what happens when I understand my eternal nature? Brahma bhuta prasannatma. When I know my eternal nature, then I am always in a blissful state of existence. Na shochati, na kamshati. I neither lament nor I hanker after anything. Because I know that everything else is external. The only reality that exists is my eternal nature and my eternal relationship with Krishna. There is nothing else other than that. All the other things are coming and going. They are adyantavanta kaunteya. They got a beginning and they got an end. Nateshu ramate buddha. An intelligent person does not derive pleasure. Yehi sansparshaja bhoga dukkhayona evate. So all the other kinds of experiences that the senses get in association with the sense objects has got a beginning and an end. And even the mental experiences that one develops, how is this mental experiences coming? Based on what we are experiencing during our waking state. So what does mind, when we close our eyes, and when we are in the state of that mental state, what do we actually perceive in the first place? We perceive the things that we are experiencing during the waking state. The gross, whatever experiences. So in the gross state, if I'm thinking that this is all for my enjoyment, in the mental state also I'll be doing the same thing. And mental state is actually a subtle state and more stronger state. It is stronger than gross state. Indriyani parani ahur indriyabhya paramana yo manasustu paro buddhi yo buddhi paratustu sa. As Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, he says that undoubtedly the senses are very strong. Parani ahur. But stronger than senses is the mind. Indriyadya param mana. Stronger than the mind is intelligence. Yo manasastu paro buddhe. Yo buddhe paratastu. Stronger than the intelligence is our original, eternal personality. It is actually a personality. Everyone has got an eternal personality. That is the Vaishnava philosophy. It's not impersonal. The impersonal philosophy says sarvam khalvidam brahman. In that state that brahma satyam jagan mithya. That this the only truth is that undivided oneness, and everything else is an illusion. But what this this Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya, this impersonal philosophy, where it is not gone is the state where one can have an individual eternal personality in eternal relationship with the eternal supreme personality of Godhead. Srila Prabhupada gives the example of a green parrot in a green tree. So if we look from far, everything might seem as one. But when we go near the tree, we can see that there is a green parrot also existing along with the green leaves and of the tree. So this is the experience of the personal philosophy, where one, therefore Krishna says, Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridhavrata namasyantascha mam bhaktya nitya yukta upasate. So Krishna mentions about the pure unalloyed devotees, that they are constantly engaged in my devotional service. It does not depend on it does not say that when one gets liberated, one stops the devotional service. Actually, in the state of liberation, devotional service becomes totally pure, totally unadulterated. In the conditioned state of existence, before liberation, the devotional service is it's not anya-bhilashita shunyam. It's not jnana karmadi anavritam. It's a little bit anukulyena kṣattā-nuṣīlanam, but not fully anukulyena kṣattā-nuṣīlanam. Bhaktir uttama. As Srila Rupa Goswami gives a definition of topmost devotional service, he says that the qualities of topmost devotional service is, first of all, it has to be free from all other types of desires. The only desire would be to love Krishna. There is no other desire. Anya abhilashita shunyam, zero. All the other desires are zero. The only desire exists is that I'm loving Krishna and I want to engage in Krishna's service. There is only desire. Anya abhilashita shunyam, jnana karmadi anavritam. So there is no tinge of jnana marga and karma marga. There is no tinge of this understanding of that everything is one kind of philosophy, which is the impersonal philosophy. And the karma kanda is that philosophy where one is expecting the results of activity based on what activity one is doing. So there is jnana karmadi anavritam, totally uncovered. There is no trace of jnana and karma. It is pure bhakti. Anukulyena Krishna anushīlanam. And the next point that Srila Rupa Goswami makes is that everything, all the activities, anushīlanam, all the activities are in accordance with loving the Lord. Anukulyena. Anukulasya sankalpa pratikulasya varjanam. Rakshishyati iti vishvaso goptritve varnam netha atma nikshepa karpanya shadvidhi sharanagati. So this sharanagati, when one has totally surrendered onto Krishna, then one is in that state of liberation. Anukulasya sankalpa pratikulasya varjanam. Doing activities which are favorable for Krishna consciousness, not doing anything that is unfavorable. Rakshishyati iti vishvaso goptritve varnam yatha. Always being assured that Krishna is protecting at every moment. Goptritve varnam yatha. That Krishna is actually my maintainer. Krishna is my guardian. Atma nikshepa karpanya. Atma nikshepa is dainya bhava. That this trinadapi sunichena tarorapi sashna. That is, one is thinking that, not thinking, one is actually in the experiential state of existence. One knows that that everything is happening under Krishna's direction. Maya dakshina prakriti suyate sacharacharam hetu nanena kaunteya jagad viparivartate. As Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, that under my direction this whole universe is creating the living and the moving and non-moving entities. Hetu nanena kaunteya jagad viparivartate. So this is this understanding. So that's what we understand from the third line here. Asat-kṛtaḥ sat-spṛhaṇīya-śīlaḥ. So even though Vidura was insulted by Duryodhana, but he was actually a respectable person with all the desirable qualities. Sat-spṛhaṇīya-śīlaḥ. So and that was the unfortunate situation of Duryodhana, that he was insulting a person who actually should have been given all the respects. Asat-kṛtaḥ sat-spṛhaṇīya-śīlaḥ. And the last line in this verse is kṣattā sakarṇānuja-saubalena. Kṣattā. Kṣattā here is mentioning about, it's addressing Mahatma Vidura. And then it is saying that sakarṇānuja-saubalena. So Duryodhana was with Karna, Anuja, his younger brothers, the 100 brothers, Saubalena, and with Śakuni. And here, the end, we can understand the last line here about the influence that Duryodhana was having from his maternal uncle Śakuni. So Śakuni was a brother of his mother. His mother was Gandhari. Gandhari's brother was Śakuni. And they were from the Gandhar kingdom. This is an unfortunate situation that Duryodhana was full of arrogance, and he wanted to always cause atrocities to his cousins, Pandavas, the sons of Pandavas. And in relationship with his heinous state of mind of causing trouble to Pandavas, who were actually the Pandavas themselves, they never wanted to trouble. They are pure devotees of Krishna. So, ajata shatrava shanta, sadhavo sadhubhushan. So, devotees, they do not have any enemies, because their state of mind is always thinking that everyone is part and parcel of Krishna. So in that state of mind, they do not have any enemies. Ajata shatrava, titikshava karunika suhradam sarva dehinam, ajata shatrava shanta, sadhavo sadhubhushanam. So the pure devotees of the Lord, they wear these wonderful jewels, and those jewels are not the gross jewels. They are the jewels of the quality of their existence, which is based on pure love for Krishna. And when one has got that pure love for Krishna, what are the qualities that one can see? Titikshava. One bears forbearance. We see here in Mahatma Vidura that he was giving nice instructions to Duryodhana, but he was being insulted by Duryodhana along with his 100 brothers Karna and Śakuni. But he was forbearing, karunika. He had that mercy towards them. Suhridam sarva dehinam, best friend of all the living entities. Even those who are harming, even to them, he'll try to be the best friend. Suhridam sarva dehinam, ajata shatrava. There is no enemy that is born for a devotee. Because it all depends. Where is this concept of enemy and everything else coming up? It is coming from the mind. Manorathena asato dhavato bhahi. If the mind is totally surrendered onto Krishna, savai manaha Krishna padaravindeyo, mind is focused on the lotus feet of Krishna, then one knows that everything is Krishna's. Sarvam khalvidam Brahman, it is said. But who is Brahman? Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram Paramam Bhavan. The supreme Brahman is Krishna. So one knows that everything, Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. Suhridam sarva bhutanam gyatva mam shanti vrachiti. So one is always in that peaceful state of mind. Ajata shatrava shanta. That is the real jewels of personalities like Vidura, about whom we are discussing in this chapter. With this, I would like to conclude this discussion. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai, all glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Guru, all glories to Śrīla Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine. Sarvam Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Krishne Matirastu. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.